All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show. We have a 4-game slate to talk about for this afternoon and night. So I'm glad that both sites combined all the games just so we have 4. I think that's kind of the cutoff where it's actually a somewhat playable slate where I'll play normal volume. But yeah, this one pretty ugly outside of Colorado 1, and it's pretty ugly even if you want to try to jam in Colorado 1. So I'm going to be trying to figure this out as much as trying to give an analysis. So we're going to go through each game and maybe go on natural stat trick, look at some line matching stuff. I have the Stacks article updated for today. I just updated projections, and then those are going to get updated again at like 2 Eastern. Nashville pregame skate is going to be pretty important to see who ends up on the top line, whether it's Yarncroc or Sissons. It was Sissons last game. I prefer it to be Sissons because I think that's going to be an adjustment that a lot of people don't end up making. And if I remember, I can't remember if they had Sissons on top power play or whatever, but you've also got the narrative that Sissons crushes the Avs, but that's not actually why I want to play him. It'd just be because if you're centering Forsberg and Arvidsson, I think that's a pretty enviable spot to be in for a guy that's 4,500. Same thing with Yarncroc. But I prefer the late news, especially when I'm going to be around, and you can make those adjustments that a lot of people won't catch, especially today when there's NBA going on. Even before the slate locks, there's 2 slates for NBA, which is really nice. Preds lines were a mess last game, and we won't have an AM skate. Yeah, so it's tough to make lineups. Like, you can do your crunches if you MME, and you can like have one in that as like a backup if you don't find something you like right before lock. But like, my last crunch is not going to come until 10 minutes before lock because I'm going to have to see what actually happens with these Preds lines. So what you could do if you want to play a lot of Nashville is just put in Sissons on the top line with Forsberg, Arvidsson, and Yarncroc, and just if it ends up being Yarncroc on the top line, you can just swap down to him on DK, make that switch super easy, $700 difference. That would be one way to do it, but I'm going to be around my computer, and I'll be in chat, and we could talk about it, give some quick reactions if we see anything weird. I don't know, what do you guys think of this slate? It's not that great. Yeah, there's really only one good game, and you're talking about the first one, right, Corsi? Preds Avs. I felt like there was way more games last year when they did this. Like, when they do this MLK slate, I feel like there's always like 6 or 7 games, and there's like a couple slates. Wait, which game are you talking about? Not the Golden Knights game, right? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. For DFS. Okay. Yeah. Sharks, Panthers, there's a 6.5 total. Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of like the Nashville game, but I don't know if there's a total. Yeah, okay, there's a total. All right, let's go through this. Good for you East Coasters that this slate's going to end pretty early after that 7 Eastern game. So I'm sure you guys are happy about that. All right, Predators and Avs talked about a little bit already, but don't have any goalie confirmations just yet. Pecorine expected to go up against Semyon Varlamov. Teams can do weird stuff. If there's anything with like a nagging injury with the All-Star break coming up, teams might just hold guys out. Like Carlson, I think, is expected to be out. So just be aware, be ready to react if you are actually playing the slate. So 2.9 implied total for the Preds, 3.1 for the Avs. It's Colorado 1 or 2 mid-tier stacks is kind of how I view this slate. So Colorado 1 is, let's see what their total is on DK. They are 22.8. Oh, for some reason I thought they were like 23.6. So I gotta change that in the stacks article. I said they were almost 24K, but must have been doing some bad math in my head last night while I was watching the football games. They're gonna probably not hard match here. If they did hard match, it would be against Forsberg and Arvidsson. But yeah, they really handcuff you really, really bad. And I'll kind of show you what that means. Just trying to run stacks with them. We'll just open up Fantasy Cruncher and we'll just lock them. 2 uniques. We'll make only Colorado on this stack and we'll clone it. Like, you really have to include third lines if you want to run a bunch of Colorado 1. So there's going to be like, you're going to get some real ugly lines that you have to play with Colorado 1 to actually make lineups. Like Vegas 3, that's the one that Fantasy Cruncher's projections like. The Thornton line, not terrible. It's a top line, quote unquote, so maybe that's the chalk pairing with them. My projections don't really like them as much. So if we make 4 uniques, you can just see there's only a handful of lines that actually fit with them, which is the problem. 12, yeah. Like that's a fine line. I think this line is okay. Trocheck line, of course, but like everyone's gonna have these if you're playing MME, and probably if you're playing single entry as well, because people love jamming in Colorado 1. I do too. But there are actually some really good mid-tier stacks that you can pair together, and then you can get in like a Brent Burns as well without having to go to St. Louis 3 or LA 3. That line I actually don't mind, but that's what I mean by like handcuffing you. You really, there's not much you can do with them. So they're a great play. They're like in a vacuum, they're awesome. They're 22.8. I have them projected as actually an okay value for being that expensive, and almost 4 points higher than any other line on mine. Yeah, so Tommy Bomb 7. Colorado and St. Louis too, yeah, but you're not going to be any different when you do that. So what I plan to do with Colorado 1 is in my 50 or 75, whatever I end up doing in the $8, I have 50 in there right now. But I might just run 4 uniques with Colorado 1 and just have one variation of each of the stacks you can fit with them. Because I don't know, I just feel pretty good about some of these other mid-tier stacks. And I love the spot for Colorado 1. And you only need a little bit from your filler stack if you go to Colorado 1. But it's just going to be such a common thing. Like, I still think they're going to be over 20%, over 25% probably, because people just jam them in however they can and just find lines that fit. And that's what an optimizer does. So just a long way of me saying I'm probably going to end up around or a little bit below the field on Colorado 1, despite them being by far my highest raw point stack. I do like the Nashville side of this quite a bit. Like I mentioned, Forsberg, Arvidsson. I've just been targeting Colorado, their penalty kill, and just their propensity to commit a bunch of penalties. They're tied for first in time shorthanded. They don't kill off penalties very well. I think they're bottom 5 in the NHL in penalty kill as well. And that may have updated. They may have changed a little bit on those numbers since last night. But like, you've got 2 really good defensemen, maybe 3 if you want to include Ryan Ellis. But Yossi, Subban, I think are 2 awesome plays. I prefer Yossi. His shoes, you have to pay $700 more, and there is Brent Burns on this slate. So it's really Nashville 1, Colorado 1, so not really breaking any news there. But Soderberg is 5,400, Comfer 4,700. I think these guys are a little bit overpriced. I don't love targeting Nashville, even without Johansson. They're just healthy on the back end with their 4 top defensemen all back, and they're just not really a team I want to target unless I'm playing super elite lines like the McKinnon line. These other plays on Nashville, the second and third lines, depending on what they look like, they're just going to be secondary plays for me. I'm just not going to play a lot of them at all. And then Tyson Barrie, he's 6K. It's really tough to fit him in with Colorado 1, and that's why you'd want to play him. It's hard to imagine Tyson Barrie paying off the 6K salary without Colorado 1 having a pretty big game. At least that's how I see it. So, do we even get any Tyson Barrie with Colorado 1? Yeah, we didn't here. We got Nemeth. That's it. See, in this too, like, I want to pay up for the top defenseman, but you just cannot do that. You get Burns twice with some super cheap lines that I don't really like all that much. But yeah, it's just gonna be really tough. I want to, like, my projections prioritize these top defensemen. So double mid-tier stack, like, I feel like I can get 2 goals from each of my lines, whereas this, it's like, yeah, even if McKinnon line gets 3 goals, you're still betting on Eakin, Carpenter, Lindbergh. You're still betting on Bonino, Watson, Hartman. It's, like I mentioned, this line is, I think, okay, but there's just not all that many options, and then your defensemen really suffer. Just drop Landeskog, Rantanen, and get Tyson Barrie. I'd rather just play the 3 forwards and punt a defenseman, but that's just me. All right, next game. Kind of talked about that one a lot. Blues and the LA Kings. Binnington projected right now going up against Jonathan Quick. Both goalies, I think, priced fairly. That's really all I have to say about goalies. It's just a price thing with me, or a correlation thing, almost always with goalie, unless there's one just clearly mispriced, home favorite, 7K type of thing. The O'Reilly line is my favorite line in this game. I'm expecting them to get hard matched against LA1, and so it's Kopitar. Oh no, but 100-minute sample on this Kopitar line. They're allowing almost 60 shot attempts against per 60, 30 scoring chances, and 12.9 high danger chances against per 60. So they're just not that great of a shutdown line. Maybe they get better, but I really like O'Reilly, Maroon, and Tarasenko. I also like that they don't fit with Colorado 1. I don't even think it's possible at all. Based on their pricing, we didn't get any of them. And I think maybe some people are scared of LA slowing the pace down, or maybe they're worried about Kopitar. I'm just not. This line generated, I think, 20 shot attempts against Ottawa. So basically they did exactly what they should do. Full power play correlation here as well. And LA's tried to slow the pace down, but their last 10 games, they're like top 5 in the big 3 categories. Yeah, both these teams play really slow, but I think good individual matchup. Yeah, it could be. It could be a 3-1 game with an empty netter type thing, but LA's tried to slow the pace down, and they don't have good players. And so I'm just betting on the talent here. I think this is a fine matchup, assuming these 2 lines go up against each other. And then I think it's also a good matchup for the Shen, Steen, Schwartz line. Like they get Eiffel, Carter, Lipstick. I think this line has done okay at limiting shot attempts. And in fact, I can check that. I've got all the lines pulled up. Yeah, they slow it down okay. Under 10 high danger chances against per 60. 72-minute sample. So they're okay defensively, but I don't know, this, like, just logically, this is a better line. Shen, Schwartz, Steen, you get full correlation. LA just is garbage. There's just not really other ways to say it. So, LA is mean, though. They tire you out. Who are they tiring out as of late? I'm just not worried about LA. Like, yeah, boom. Sorry, LA's garbage. Not the city. I'm sure the city's nice, but the Kings, they're very bad. Okay, now that I just trashed the Kings, I think one of my favorite lines actually to pair with Colorado 1 is their third line, Kempe, Toffoli, and Hagelin. Some speed on this line. They've got good numbers, and you say, okay, yeah, they've got good numbers because they get they're the best matchups, but actually really dominant numbers in 71 minutes, 65 shot attempts per 60, 30 scoring chances, 12.7 high danger chances per 60. So seems like a line that is going to get very favorable matchups. You don't need a lot of them. You don't need them to score 3 goals at their price. So I think they're actually one of the better pairings with Colorado 1, or if you want to go, I don't even know who else you pair them with, because you're leaving a ton of salary on the table. Like if you want to go with the Sharks power play stack with Burns, like you get Couture and I don't even know who else you take, Hurdle, like all the high price guys, and just stick in this line. I don't think it's the worst idea. No, they'd never go ham. The Kings, they're just the worst. And this line's going to come up in some optimizers. This one probably is too, with Lipsick at only 3K. I'd rather not. Like, I'll take a few stabs at this third line, and it's going to be the St. Louis top 6 for me. Defenseman, Pietrangelo, pretty clearly my number 1 option, but I do like Parayko at 4,800. And then Muzzin all of a sudden priced up at 5,100. Doughty at 5,300. That's an easy choice. I'd rather go with Doughty there. And then if you're punting, or I mean, if you can't afford those 2 guys and you just want like a one-off guy, Alec Martinez would be my next option after that. I just wish Forbort did anything for 2,800. He just doesn't do much at all, despite playing a bunch of minutes. All right, let's move it on to the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. Muzzin playing for a trade. Maybe you could use a change of scenery. I think all the Kings could at this point. Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. We've got a 2.6 implied total for Minnesota, 3.4 for the Golden Knights. Devin Dubnyk and Marc-Andre Fleury, the expected goaltenders here, of course, confirm that this one starts at 6 Eastern, so an hour before normal lock time on a Monday. Question in the premium Slack, Arvidsson or Forsberg? I'd probably go Arvidsson. I don't play both. If you're playing a tournament, try to jam both in. But I think I would prefer Arvidsson. Let's see what my projections have as the higher raw point getter. Where are we at? Arvidsson. Oh no, I have Forsberg higher. Let's see. Forsberg at 3.79. Arvidsson at 3.26. Wow, did not realize that, because I always play him as a trio. So I guess the answer would be Forsberg. Finally, Marchessault out of the gutter. What do you mean? Oh, so he was struggling. Okay. In this one, I wrote up Vegas 2 because they got very good numbers. They're going to avoid the Koivu line for the most part, which is the line you want to avoid. I'm not crazy about Stahl, Greenway, Coyle together. I don't think Rask, Aberg, and Parise is going to be a very great defensive line. Aberg has his issues. Rask is Rask. He's, fine. He's okay on a line with these guys, but I don't expect him to be some sort of shutdown center like what I think the Wild think they got for him. So I really like Stastny, Pacioretty, Tuck. I think because these lines are priced similarly on DraftKings, you're going to see most of the ownership go to Vegas 1. I think Vegas 1 is an okay stack, but there are a bunch of lines that I have ahead of them as far as value. And then when you factor in they're going to see the most time against Koivu, Zucker, Granlund, that's not really a line I want to mess with if I can avoid it. And I think Vegas is, 3.4 implied total. People are going to want to go to them if they're not getting up to Colorado 1. But I'm likely going to end up underweight on Vegas 1 and overweight on Vegas 2. On the wild side, and then also you got this third line that we just saw. They fit with Colorado 1. That's the best thing you can say about them. Let's see their numbers. I remember them being pretty good. Yeah, they've got good numbers too. So if you want to go there, they don't create a lot of high danger chances, but shot generation, Vegas 3 is pretty decent number. So there you go. Of course, Nino, 2 goals. Yeah, 2 goals in the first period. Just Tuck revenge. Wild rejected him. You and your revenge, boom. They exposed him in the draft. Basically, they paid Vegas to take Alex Tuck so they could protect Niederreiter, Zucker, and Stahl, I think. So that's, if I remember correctly, that's what they did. Because they didn't technically protect those 3, but they wanted to protect more than the allotted players. Can't remember if it's 8 or 9, but yeah. So there's your Alex Tuck revenge game. Boom. Tuck's just good, so you don't need to play him because it's a revenge game. But he's good. I think it's going to be a favorable matchup for Vegas too. So that's why you play Tuck, not because of the silly narratives you're coming up with. If I'm going to a wild line, I liked the way the Aberg, Rask, Parise line looked. They had a full line goal. They looked decent otherwise. I like Aberg and Parise together. I think they're at least a usable duo. And then you throw in Rask, who's near min salary. He was on the power play. You've got 2 guys on the top power play as well. Probably going to avoid a lot of time against this line especially, but probably won't see all that much time against Vegas 2 either. But like I said, this line is pretty decent at not only creating their own shots, but limiting opposing shot suppression. So I don't think it's like some smash matchup for Minnesota. I don't like targeting teams in general going into Vegas. But it's a 4-game slate, so you kind of, if you're playing multiple lineups like I am, it's tough not to at least pick 1 or 2 lines from every team that you at least think are in play. So this one is probably my favorite value-wise. This line is super cheap. I wonder if they attract a bunch of attention in tournaments. I don't love it. I think it's a good price in a vacuum, but they're probably going to be too owned for me. I'm not going to get to where the field's at if they're over like 12%, which I think is pretty fair assumption. Vegas PP, high tip in play tonight. What does that mean? The Vegas power play? Let's see where they're at. They have an average power play. Minnesota has, they have a really good kill. Minnesota's second best kill in the NHL behind Arizona this season. So I don't think it's a great worst in the NHL since Christmas. Well, there you have it. Boom. Vegas power play, not the spot. Despite what I said about them being fully correlated on both lines, it looks like. Defenseman here, you've got Theodore and Schmidt both on the second unit. Those guys correlate better to Pacioretty, Stastny, Tuck, of course, as you see on your screen. And then Colin Miller's going to be a popular fill-in. I want to see how many minutes he actually ended up playing last game. They go up and down depending on who's healthy for Vegas. He played 18, almost 19 minutes last game. So a lot more than I thought he was going to play. Had 2 assists. Oh, that was in the 7-goal game in Pittsburgh. He's playing 18 or 19 and getting top time on the top power play, despite the power play being bad for Vegas. I think he's worth a shot at 3,500 at the very least. But like these guys are probably more your floor plays, especially Theodore. I think that's pretty good value for him at 4,300 on the Wild. It's always kind of the same story with them. Suter correlates to the guys I want to play better. Like he correlates to Parisi and Aberg on the power play. But Spurgeon's like the better play as a one-off. So kind of a hedge there, it sounds like, but that's just what I do. Like I don't play Suter. I try to avoid playing Suter if it's not in the context of a stack. And whereas Spurgeon, I'm way more likely to play him as a one-off. You guys talking about power play formation in chat? All right. Interesting. You guys are up and at it early on a Monday. That's really all I got for this game. Dubnyk's cheap. He's probably going to see a lot of shots. Fleury is always super expensive at home, but the win equity is there. No hot takes from goalie for me almost ever. All right. Last game of the night. Right? Yeah, I guess this one is at night. Sharks and the Panthers. This is probably going to be everyone's favorite game. Rightfully so. We've got Martin Jones expected to go up against Roberto Luongo. A bunch of lines in play here for the Sharks, who have a 3.5 implied total. Panthers at 3 flat. Trocheck priced appropriately for once. His price has jumped, what, $3,400 in the 2 games he's come up. I mean, yeah, you dig on what they do on the power play, because it hasn't been working, whatever they've been doing. Boom. So, yeah. Just play Tuck because he's good. They don't need the power play to get there at those prices. They can do damage at even strength. They just did it against Pittsburgh. So my favorite line in this one, no surprise, raw points, is Hurdle, Kane, and Donskoy. Value-wise, for me, it's pretty clearly Couture, Meyer, and LeBanc. So I'm just going to be hammering the Sharks' second and third lines, what I consider the first and second lines. I would basically flip this, how they have it on the screen, and how they have it on Daily Faceoff and Left Wing Lock. Hurdle line is their top line at this point. And then Couture, and then this line is kind of third fiddle. I don't know how Florida's going to treat it. I would guess, just based on what this Hurdle line has been doing, that they go Barkov against Hurdle. I wouldn't be surprised if they go Barkov against Couture. With Trocheck back, that obviously helps. They've just got another line that's another real line instead of playing like Jared McCann and Bjorkstrom as their second line center. But I just think the Sharks have a big advantage here, and that's telling a 3.5 total on the road. You don't see that all too often, unless it is a really good team in a very good road matchup. So these are the 2 lines I really, really want. This line will have more ownership, I think, than it should, because they do fit. You can make it work with Colorado 1. But these lines with Brent Burns is the reason I want to full stack lines 2 and lines 3. They're all getting power play time now. No Erik Karlsson. Burns may play the entire game on the power play. It doesn't really matter if he doesn't. But you can play Burns with either of these lines, which I absolutely love. So, like, Burns is the best play of the slate, in my opinion. And I think he's probably underpriced at 6,800. So let's see what I got for Burns my first few crunches, and I'll tell you. My first one, I got 53% Burns, which it may even go up. I also got 29% Yossi. I got a bunch of Colin Miller because I didn't limit my Colorado exposure, so it's probably going to be somewhere in the 60, 65, 70% range of Burns for me. Any non-Colorado lineups, I'm going to try to force in Burns. That's just how it's going to go. The other defenseman, I guess Dylan is fine for 2,700. He's probably my next guy after Burns, but way different price points, of course. Donskoy and PP2 now finally increased ownership. It could be. Donskoy should have been owned. This line should have been owned the whole time. After like the first couple of games, when you saw their numbers just go nuclear. I haven't paid attention to their ownership as of late. I'm assuming people have been on them a little bit more, just because their results have been so good. But their underlying numbers were basically insane right off the bat. But don't ignore this line. Like LeBanc, he may not be the strongest player, but he is 3,300 and on the power play with Couture. So a little bit more correlation you're seeing with these Sharks lines on the power play with no Erik Karlsson. I don't even know if he, like I said, I think Burns may play the whole game on the power play if they have a bunch of opportunities. So I don't even know if he's going to play on the PP2. Hurdle line is the better play. Is a better play than Couture line today. Here, I'll pull it up. All right, so I've got SJ3, the hurdle line, projected for, like, they're literally right next to each other as far as raw points go, but the Couture line has a better value because they're cheaper and they're right next to each other. So I have Hurdle, Donskoy, Kane projected at 10 points flat. I have Meyer, Couture, and LeBanc projected at 9.9. So you throw in price, it's probably going to be mostly split down the middle, but maybe a lean as far as exposure goes to the Couture line, just because they allow you to do a little bit more with the rest of your lineups. On the Florida side, I don't really love attacking the Sharks, but Barkov and Dadonov together, I do like that. I think the Trocheck line is going to be one that people go to as a filler stack. That's fine. But for Toronto, man, he should be doing something, playing with Barkov and Dadonov on that top line. But if I'm going to Florida, it's probably just this top line. Just kind of betting on talent here. Does anybody know if Trocheck was actually on the second power play unit? Because when he's been healthy the last 2 years, he's always been on the top unit. So I don't know if that's just Daily Faceoff not updating it. Or maybe I can check this out really quick. He was on the second power play, Corsi? Okay, they're correct. All right. Talked about Burns. Play as much Burns as you can would be my advice. And then Yandel's the power play one guy. I'd rather play Ekblad in a one-off for 4,300 and save the extra 1,000. It's just, man, this slate is really tough to talk about because it's like just play the best players if you're not playing Colorado 1. Like if I was playing one lineup today, Burns would be the one guy I'd probably jam in. I'd probably go something like this. I think this line may have a little bit less ownership than the hurdle line, and then it'd be a choice between Nashville 1 and probably St. Louis 1 as my next option. So that's probably what I would get to, some combination of those two lines. Yeah, I think Burns, like, don't hit the lock button on your optimizer, but you should, if you're playing with Fantasy Cruncher or whatever. Like, I'm not getting 100% of Burns, but I'm also making 50 to 75 lineups. So you're not going to get to Burns if you're playing Colorado 1, and I don't want to have 0 Colorado 1, so I'm going to have less than 100% Burns, but he's going to be my highest exposed player by a very good margin. So that is really the slate today. I don't know if you guys want to see anything else on Fantasy Cruncher or whatever. Otherwise, I could just get out of here. Another MLK lock. Subban over Burns. Jesus, boom. No, don't listen to that narrative. Just play the good players. Subban's a good play. But Burns is the best play, in my opinion. Man, you can fit this like a glove, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's pretty outrageous. You could play Theodore. There you go. Martin Jones, 7,900. That doesn't fit. No problem. Like, that's probably how I'd be playing it if I had one lineup today. It's seems like a pretty straightforward slate. I probably wouldn't get to Colorado 1 if I had one lineup. They just really, really handcuff you. Oh, God. You guys are off the rails. Just a few of you that are in here. Has there been any news since I've been on? I'm going to refresh Twitter. Have we gotten any confirmation on goalies or anything? Roberto Luongo going to start. What the? Teravainen got signed to an extension? 5-year, $27 million? Wow. What about a Sharks Josh Stack? Yeah, for anyone listening, a Josh Stack is a 5, usually 6-man stack, including your goalie, where you're just trying to say, okay, this team is going to score 5 goals, and I want all the goal scorers, and another way to call it is an onslaught. So maybe you go something like this. Wow, you can do this way too easily. Burns, you can take out Donskoy and go LeBanc. 6-man. There you go. Now you could go something like, yes, of course. I'm sure you've already played around with this. That's why you asked. But yeah, you can. This is real nice. I don't even know where you'd go. It doesn't really matter. Like, you need this stack to go off anyways. You need them to score minimum probably 4 goals for this to make sense on a short slate, and just kind of the other games to stay somewhat quiet. But it is viable for sure on a 4-game slate. Here you could go Rask. Oh no, you wouldn't want to go Rask, would you? Oh, you could go Rask. Or you could go Aberg, something like that. Who do we like for 4K? Might as well just put in Rask. Just punt your other center spot. Hope he gets an assist. And then there, play Parayko or something. So there you have it. That is how you do the Josh stack. Even if you didn't want to do it like this, you could play a cheaper goalie. You could play Pekka. There you go. Or play Nate Schmidt. See? Did not think that was going to fit that easy, but I guess with LeBanc up there, it's even easier. And he's getting power play time. All right. Well, that's probably enough 4-game NHL talk. I will have my projections updated on the site around 2 Eastern. I'll be in chat. I'll post anything you get about lines or any goalie confirmations or anything like that. Promo code Hit the Ice gets you 50% off your first month of Osmo.com Premium NHL package. Again, if you guys could, please give us the like. It would really help us out. What else do we have? Watch our NBA streams if you're interested in NBA. I know Josh and Fast Eddie Fear are going live around 3 Eastern. So Reddit NHL Lock. You have no excuse for playing the NBA main slate on FanDuel or the late slate on DK. go over there, watch the show. The chat is always going nuts there. They've got so many people in it. What else? Stacks article, again, is out. I'll probably do some cheat sheets later. If you guys got any questions, you can hit me up in the Slack or DM me on Twitter. It doesn't really matter to me. But this one just seems pretty straightforward. Play Brent Burns. Very hot take, only the hottest here at Osmo.com. Play the best defender on the slate. And that's what I'm going to do. So hopefully see you guys at the top. Get your contests in on DK. Those tournaments are going to fill way too early. Per usual, get in the second version of the contest as well. They're usually softer. And we will see you tomorrow. TBD who's going to be on tomorrow. But I think we have a 5-game slate, and it locks at the normal time. I think 7 Eastern, 6 my time. Thanks for joining today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, guys.